Hello everybody, welcome back to the Vanderpool Variety channel. Today's video we're going to be doing an update of the tool bags. There was a video earlier in the channel. I'm showing you a picture on the right of my first initial showcase and basic setup of this bag when I got it from about a year ago. So you're going to want to watch that video first before you come to this one so you can see how it's changed since then. Now, I've been working in heating and air for about 5 months now, and before that I worked with a general contractor doing plumbing and stuff like that for a few weeks. But this bag's changed a lot since then, because it's been in the work field now, as opposed to not being in any. So it was just had the basic setup that I made, and I wasn't working yet, so I didn't really know exactly what I needed. But now a lot of things have been added and changed and switched out, so we're going to get looking into that right now. But make sure you go check out that first video first so you can see the differences, because I'm going to be talking about things that were in that video as well. So we're going to get into the first compartment here. Nothing in these pockets. Just clip this on for future use. You need to clip something to it. Like I said in the previous video, we can clip these down here to fold it down so you can work out of it. I never do that. It's kind of tedious, but write my name on there. I like to have a name on stuff for on the jobs. Now, I don't have any specific position in this company yet. I just go wherever I'm told. So I may be on ductwork, roughing. We do new work. I may be installing units. I may be doing simple things. So I kind of got a little bit of everything in here. I'm not usually just specializing in one thing, which I like. I like doing all the parts. So I got some basic necessities for that here. So on this side, we got the Nashua squeegee, they call it. I just call it a card or a tape card. You're sealing ducts with tape. Put tape, you can run this over as you're pulling it across and get that creases and stuff out of your mastic tape when you put it on there. Make it nice. I've upgraded the level from the last level that I had in there in the previous video, which is my dad's, is torpedo level. This one's older because I wanted a smaller one that you could just get in tighter areas as opposed to this. This worked for a lot of stuff, but this one's nicer to have. This one has an ultra strong magnet on here. Stick to metal. It takes quite something to pull it off, so you're not losing it and stuff like that falling off, as opposed to the magnet on this one. And this one's kind of faded too, whereas the Milwaukee has the plumb lines on it for plumbers. I don't do that, but I may in the future, but it's nice to know because you can use it on flues and stuff like that. Plumb and 45 levels as well as sight glass. They all have that, but this one has them for all of them. So we have that, and it even has a little roller on top of it. And that is that. Up here I have a little mini copper cutter. So originally I didn't have nothing in that video for cutter, but then I went to the mini smaller cutter. This is the bigger rigid cutter. It'll cut up to 1 1/8", which you'd use in refrigeration, but it also cut 1 inch, 3/4 and half rigid copper and 3/8 rigid copper, and it'll cut all the soft tubing from 1/4 inch to 1 1/8". So that gets you covered on most of the sizes you're going to be using in this field, from boiler work to refrigeration. So we have that kept up here. Here we have, I still have the original Craftsman channel locks that were in here, or Craftsman adjustable pliers, I should say. in here from the video, but I've also added the name brand channel locks 422 pipe jaws in here as well, because it's good to have 2 pairs of these. You can put black iron fittings together, worst case scenario, if you don't have wrenches, or you can back something up and go 2 different ways if you need to tighten something up, or just use one or the other depending on what you need. So we keep those in there. Added both lefts and right tin snips. These are Sears, so not from my time, but my dad had these in the 90s. Still in mint condition. I've been using them way more, but offsets. Use those a lot. I've changed out from the video. I had the 10-inch Craftsman adjustable wrench here, and I've since upgraded to the 10-inch rigid wide mouth. As you can see why they call it a wide mouth. You got about close to a 1/2 inch extra opening on that. And the only reason I did that is because I'm doing gas work for furnaces and stuff. They want to see where I'm at, that you're backing up your gas valve when you're tightening your black nipple into it. So if they don't want to see you using a wrench for it, although you could use it. Most guys do. You put this in a gas valve and you tighten it in. That tends to damage the shanks on the gas valve, so they want to see that you're using adjustable wrench for that, and your pipe wrench on the nipple itself. But that's why I upgraded to that, because the regular 10-inch Craftsman doesn't fit those shanks on there like this would. So we're keeping that in there. Up here we got the Urea crimpers that have replaced the Electrocraft cheapo crimpers from the video that still got it done, but we got the Fierce Ureas here today with the cutter on top here and a cutter down here for wire. We got 22 to 14 gauge insulated spade chassis grounding fork connector, anything you need to crimp on. You got 12 to 10 yellow connectors you can crimp, a non-insulated crimper. Then you got 440, 6/32, 8/32 bolts and little screws you can cut through there. A stripper, which isn't that great on crimpers, but it still works in a pinch. And then that is that. I don't use those that much, but they work good if you need to do control work and where you need extra connectors on there. I have these crimpers, which are not the same as those crimpers. These are for metal pipe. You crimp ends to make them male, so they fit inside female fittings. On 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch round metal pipe of all different gauges, where you need to cut and crimp ends on ductwork and stuff like that, or flues or stuff like that. That's what I got these for. Didn't have those in the original video. I still have the Craftsman linesman pliers and needle nose pliers. My dad's first set of pliers he had in 1992 that I have. Now I did remove the straight pliers, or the also known as the adjustable pliers, from the bag because I didn't use those as much, more space they take up. So I don't have those still, but I still use these. And we got them facing down, handles up, as opposed to like that as they were in the video. Still got the Sears blade knife, although this may not be the original one because I left mine at a job far away, so this is a different one. But the other day I did that. I have a beater flathead, which I always had, even in that video. It's good to have for hammer and stuff. You can put a wrench on these Craftsman shanks and use that. Good for concrete pads that we set our units on. You can stick it under there and lift it up, or you can use your hammer. It's good to have one of those. My nut drivers, in the original video, I had the Craftsman non-magnetic, 3 common sizes, 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8. Got rid of them, or didn't get rid of them, put them back. Bought my own 1/4 inch and 5/16 magnetic Klein drivers. They work good for on furnaces where you have to reroute your condensate out the other side, and you got to take the inducer motor and everything out and take those little screws. With the non-magnetic, it's like hell to do that because they fall down in the unit, and then you get annoyed, and you know all that goes. So these work good. And I didn't get a 3/8 because these just came 2 in a pack. So I figured if I needed one of those, I'd just use my Klein 11-in-1 driver, which has a 3/8, not runner on here. If you take this out, or that's the 3/8 one there. So if we rarely ever use 3/8 nut drivers, but if you need it, it's on your 11-in-1. So we don't need a separate nut driver for that. The 11-in-1 isn't magnetic, I don't think, so but it is what it is. In here I have a wood chisel, which I don't use as much, but if you ever need to cut a board and notch the back out of it, if you're sticking in a wall, more so in plumbing you would use this if you're putting blocking up in bathrooms and it's going to push against your pipe, but you can use it for other things. You may need a wood chisel, so I have that. Keeping the Klein 11-in-1 driver and the stubby, I think 6-in-1 driver but I've since changed something out with this. I have my original, I think it's number 1, Phillips and flathead. Number 2, Phillips and flathead. Now, I don't know what sizes of these are specifically, but the 2 square drive, I use those a lot. But on the other side, I have my Schrader core removal tip. So you use these in a brazen at the condenser. Pull your service valve cap off, stick it in there, and you can wind your core out on the factory. You can also use this to remove broken cores, but it may only pull out part of it. So what you can do is you can pull it out with something else, and after you pulled that broken core out, you can ream the hole out in there with this. I think this will actually chase new threads in there, or it'll clean some of that debris out. But that's a nice tip that I purchased on like Amazon. I bought that, so that's good. These are my Midwest seamer tongs, they're called, also known as hand tongs, also known as duck pliers or duck bills. These are the offset ones. So these work good when you're putting ductwork together and you need to bend your ears down with your bar fold or your bar bender, and then you crimp your bend down further while your bar folds on the ductwork. You can use that. You can also use it on hangers, hanger cleats. You can make bends on them if you're hanging big pipe and you want to bend stuff. And you can also there's marks on here for 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and 1 inch bends. You line up 1 inch is down here, 1/4 inches up there to make bends on that. I have a Milwaukee cutter. This works good for drain pipe. When you're running that, I do that a lot. Cutting, it'll cut up to schedule 40. We usually use schedule 20 pipe is all you need for condensate drains, and sometimes people buy schedule 40. It'll cut up to 1 inch PVC as well, but you're usually using it for 3/4. You can take these out and flip the blade and then change it when that end gets dull. So you just spin it around and then snap it, or it'll cut off real nice. On the thicker gauge pipes, you gotta watch how you cut it, because it will leave burrs on the outside and you can't push the fitting together as well, but still works way better than using a hand cutter or saw or something like that. But, tubing cutter there. Not the ratcheting, but it still works pretty good. Now, my dikes, my offset dikes, I have since replaced. I've just bought a new set of Klein Journeymans. I had my dad's old ones. There really wasn't nothing wrong with these, but he did cut a live 277 volt wire with them one time, and it shorted and put this nick. So when you go to cut zip ties off, it kind of doesn't want to grab right away as fast as cutting them with newer ones are. So I just upgraded for that reason. Gave him those back. For my strippers in that video, all I had was these Kleins, which work, but they're only for solid wire. You can kind of strand it if you're careful and you use a different size hole, but sometimes you lose strands. So I purchased the Klein multi-solid and stranded strippers. If you flip them, it has all the same stuff. As you can see, they're well used. I use these all the time. And then I donated these to my dad. So we have that. I keep an extra marker in here and an extra pencil. And that's everything for in this compartment. Now we cover the outsides real quick before we move to the other compartment. So, originally I just had a 10-foot power tape on the outside. In the other video, we've since upgraded to the Klein. My dad's Klein 25-foot, double-sided. Used that for a lot of stuff since then. This clips on. I purchased a Milwaukee, like 4-in-1 micro flathead and Phillips for use on thermostats, small terminals and stuff like that. Use that a lot for thermostat installations. So you can change that out. I have a magnet here I don't really use. It's just a cheaper magnet. The head's bent on it, that kind of works better. It extends out. Not very far, but it works sometimes for some pinches. Got a flashlight, good light to have. Nice and bright, as you can see. I'm using it for anything. Go on service, you need to look inside a unit or look in dark areas and do stuff. I have that. And over here I keep my chirper, they call it, also known as a Klein Tick Tester. Just tests for voltage. So do a demonstration. You can set it on any piece of Romex or wire or anything. It'll flash red if it's hot, and it'll stay green if it's not energized. And you can stick it in a hot side of a plug and it'll go red. I think you can even do just the hot side. So we use that a lot for testing for power. Home Depot pencil that I had in the other video, I just found that. I lost it for a while. It was sitting in one of our trucks. Found it. And I keep my Milwaukee Sharpie marker on the side. And I go in every day as the first 3 things I get in my pocket is pencil, Sharpie marker, and utility knife. So we have all that. Now we come over to this side. This bag's primarily set up for service work, but I find it to work for this. You may want to consult a duffel bag and more stuff as you get into things, but for what I do right now, this works pretty good. Ditched the kneel pad I had for a set of knee pads because it's just if you go in crawl spaces or somewhere, sometimes it's just nice to have these on. You can just kneel wherever. You don't got to keep stepping on your pad or tripping over it or moving it here, moving it there. And then you just don't feel like moving it, and then you end up just kneeling on hard stuff and hammering your knees. These are just a cheap pair, but they work good. So we got those clipped to that. In the video, I had 1/2-inch gas tape, 1/2-inch water tape, 3/4 water tape, and black electrical tape. We eliminated the gas tape because we don't use that. Eliminated the 3/4 water tape because we don't use that. And the only thing I'd really use the 1/2-inch water tape for is on male adapters for condensate drains you thread into the unit. We have to tape them. We mostly have tape on the trucks, but pinch, you have that there. And I added green electrical tape because sometimes in disconnects when we pull different wire, we don't have green ground. I like to label that and disconnect for future services. So I keep that. And then of course having a little electrical tape for whatever you need that for. So we'll unclip this so we can get a peek into this part. So here we have added the, we'll start over here. I may or may not have had this in a video, I can't remember, magnet tray. There was another magnet tray that came with this, I'm just keeping the one. This is my 1/2-inch tuck tool with margin trowel I use to patch holes. Most people just use a trowel, or when they can't find that, they use a piece of S-Lock or anything they can find, or just slop it in there with their hands. I need more stuff to do it nice and neat, so I scoop it up with the margin trowel, and you can push it in there like bricklayers do. You can push it in there with your tuck tool. It makes it work real nice. I have an easy time with that. So I keep these in there, and I oil them after, keep them from rusting up. A pair of safety glasses and a sock to keep them from, and an old sock to keep them from getting hammered. I always like to have safety glasses. I usually don't wear them, but if you're running a grinder or you're using a metal shear or a hole cutter or something like that with your stuff flying, I absolutely wear my safety glasses. I have a scratch awl in here that I use with my hammer in conjunction with a hammer. You can use it on metal, you can use it to make a mark. I usually use it for punching holes in drywall for new thermostats to put anchors in for the screws. They make a nice hole for that. I got the same supply container I had in the video. It's for the Wago or Vago connectors, but I refilled it with little wire nuts. I got grays in there. I got blues. I got the tan ones. I got spade connectors in here for if you need those. And I got one of each type of Vago connector for real pinches when you need quick wire connections. So little supplies I keep in there. I got a speed square. You can use it on chimney flashings to make straight lines if you need to fit the chimney, or you can use it on metal. You can use it for anything, make a mark on wood. Let's say I need to mount a SAMI threaded rod anchoring on a boiler line or something. You need to line it up with the beam. It's kind of hard to visualize when I'm talking about this when you have a pipe. You can make sure your SAMI's in the right spot so your pipe's held up. We have my dad's 20, I don't have the date on it, but plumb hammer here. Works good for knocking wood out, prying nails, hitting nails in for rough ends, or hitting the scratch awl, or just anything. Nice hammer to have. I keep some Romex connectors or Romex clamps in here for 14 and 12 wire for furnaces, because we like to make them all nice and neat, clamped and everything. I got some zip screws and some self-tappers in there, and some thermostat 1/4-inch plastic clamps as well. I got a pry bar in here. You can use this end, you can use this end, you can hit it with your hammer and get it in stuff for yanking things out. Works great on old units, tearing old ductwork out stuff. Works wonders for that. I like having a pry bar. So with that, I have a pair of Klein gloves in here, work gloves that I wear sometimes, mainly when cutting duct insulation, duct liner. The Klein plug tester, it'll tell you how if a plug has power. Mainly what I use it for is testing to see if a plug's energized for plugging your cord in or whatever. And it'll tell you all about the plug, how it's wired. I got jumpers in here. You need to jump a board out or jump a signal out or an operation of equipment. And I have a little case here with a rad key in it for bleeding radiators. I have the star tip for my 11-in-1, which I took out, replaced with another one, and then this looks like another flathead tip I may have found somewhere, but in case I lose mine or something. So we have that. This is just my epinephrine injection for allergies. This is the 10-foot power tape from Empire that used to be clipped on the side before I upgraded. I just keep this in here as a separate spare, used for small things, stuff like that. Now I still have my multimeter in here, but I have a headlamp, which comes in handy sometimes, especially in crawl spaces. It needs adjusted, obviously, but you can use that. Turn it to this side or do whatever you want. Good for use. You don't gotta stick a flashlight in your mouth or do something annoying. And I still have my multimeter. I don't use it too often, but it's good to have, that I had in the original video that came with my school bag that I got from Votech. It's still in there. So that's pretty much it for the bag. Among the other tools that I took out that I didn't tell you about is the vice grip pliers that I had. I didn't really use them too much. There's uses for them, but I never used them, so I took them out extra weight. So that's in there. That's what we got for the main bag. So what's been added is my drill bag. I didn't have no drills before. My dad had drills, but they're all honky, and so I went with the M12, smallest version, good starter drill set. Came with this bag. I've added a lot of stuff to the bag here. Comes with the impact and the driver. I use a lot. I just keep my Malco tips that you remember were in here in the other video. They're now in here. I keep this 5/16 by 1/4-inch tip in here a lot, so I use that. And the driver. Now, I keep a little Wrigley's gum container with some bits in it. We got I think this is 1/8 by 1 1/8 step bit widening holes, making holes, things like that. You can use my Malco long 5/16 by 3/8. If I ever need a 3/8. Quick disconnect head. And I have a long 1/4 inch extension in here as well as just some random, I think they're metal bits, but they can be used for drywall and wood and stuff like that. So I keep those in there. Here we have a right angle attachment for the impact. I think you can also use it in the driver too. You stick it in here for tight areas. So I need to get in between a furnace and a return duct, make a screw something. You can stick your tip in here. I'm sure most people watching probably know what this is, but just it's part of the procedure explaining it all. Right angle. Get in there. So we have that. And then you can unlock it and relock it in whatever angle you need for that. I have an extra battery here for my dad's M12, just in case you need that in a pinch. Charger, this is what it comes with. This is my dad's regular bit set for the cover with the cover attachment. So basically, we're using this. You got flatheads in here, you got the different sizes of square drives, you got the star tips, you got Phillips heads, and all that different stuff. You just turn this to that size and dump the bit out, and then put it back in when you're done. It's like a rotating gallery of bits. And then what you do is you take this adapter, mainly for your impact, but I'm sure you can put it in the driver too. And what you do is you stick either your bit in here, or this just goes over the screw itself, or you could stick a different extension in it if you need a different size other than that. And you slide this over the screw you're putting in, so it prevents the drill from walking and slipping off and whacking this or whacking that or doing something weird. So these work good for register installs. Putting all those screws in nice, you can slide this right over, because I don't want us using the hex heads on them as it charge it up. You can just run it in nice. You keep this guard on so you don't fly off and hit the register or the wall or do whatever with that. So that's a nice little, or you can use it for other stuff that you don't want to mar up. So that just slides right on here. For use and other bits to be used with your impact. And so that is all that goes into there that I try to keep in there. Oh, and I have another thing here with a star tip for running star tip wood screws in. It has a proper name, or proper model name, but I don't know that. Short 5/16 replacement if I lose that, and a short 5/16 by 3/8 Malco tip. So that's really what I got for the tools. The Malco bag, like I said in the previous video where I showcased these, I used that for Skol. I had my Skol stuff in there, and I took it to Votech with little bits and pieces in there to do stuff. It's since been retired. I don't have anything in it because instead of going to school, I go to work because I'm on an internship and stuff for all my Votech and my high school. So I get out to go work, so I don't need to go to school with a backpack. Instead, I go to school my school is my work with this bag. But this has since been retired. I'm obviously not going to throw it away, but since been retired, and may need it for future things. If I get doing my own work or I get my own truck or something, I'm going to keep this bag for something else. Have that. So it's since been retired for now, but probably be going back into service pretty directly. But anyway, guys, that's what's changed so far. I got to see now that I'm working, I got to see what I need. So the bag has been instituted into a working environment now. So it's been upgraded to fit all that. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. So please like, subscribe, as it helps out the Magna Port Variety channel. This is just getting some different content up on the channel. We're almost done with World War II series. So this is just switching it up a little bit. I wanted to wait till after World War II series to do this, but some kids at Votech wanted to see the updates to the tool video bag, so I'm going to make a video about that and get that uploaded. We also have Tanner Fire but Out of Context Part 8 coming out. That's been finished today and finalized, so that's ready to be uploaded in a few days or whenever after this, and we'll be wrapping up World War II series. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today's video.